Nintendo's got 99 problems, but a Switch ain't one. It's actually more than one. It's like a handful if we're being honest, and that joke was horrible. For the past few months, the Nintendo eShop has been filled with games like, I don't know, Anime Cat Block Breaker 7 Apocalypse Edition. And according to recent reports, AI shovelware slop like this has been rapidly spreading to other platforms. It's actually gotten so bad that it's starting to draw the attention of journalists, indie devs, and even Nintendo themselves. But is it too late? Can we really stop the AI overlords from taking over? Maybe, but if recent Steam data means anything, the AI slot fest might only just be getting started, ladies and gentlemen. So let's take a deep dive to figure out exactly what's going on. But first, what's going on, guys? Cheers. Now, if you guys think this is old news, I promise there's more to the story. But if we take a look back just a few months ago, I found this video posted by a YouTuber who goes by the name of Reese, and at the beginning of the video he runs a little test. As you can see, we've got 30 seconds on the clock, and he tries to see how many games on the Nintendo eShop can he spot that clearly have AI generated covers and are probably just AI trash. And in 30 seconds his grand total was 12. He was just scrolling through and found 12 AI slop titles, including car detailing and wash. And boys, let's be honest, we know what that car is covered in, right? You know it, I know it, everyone knows that it's soap suds. Surely I mean, look, it's surely soap suds, right? I'm gonna keep it a buck though. I'm curious, what's this game? $2.69. It's 69% off the steampunk edition. I see, right, got it. About to download that real quick. Anyway, in Reese's video he goes on to show a lot of this artwork is just clearly, it's just AI garbage, right? Like, look at this, Legend of the Kitties, Return of Echoes. I'm gonna be real, bro, my IQ's gotta be like double digits because this kind of looks cute to me. But you know the game's garbage, right? Like, you know it, I know it, everyone, this is garbage. It's just the whole strategy here, right? And if you'll notice as he's going through, the strategy is to have these games always having like a 90% discount. Okay, you'll see 88% off, 80% off. Maybe some of these might be real games, I don't know, but like coloring book cute edition, 150 drawings, right? Like, the strategy is that there's just a really appealing picture, and then the kid goes to their parents and says, mom, can I have this game? It's only $2.39. The parent buys it, the kid plays it for 30 seconds, realizes it's trash, and they move on, and they don't even tell their parent that it was garbage. Like, the mom never follows up like, oh honey, how was that $2 game I bought you? Like, they don't even think about it, it's just $2, right? And so the strategy is to just have like what is just barely considered a game and then put it at a really cheap price. And even if you only get 1,000 downloads across, you know, 3 months, well, that's still $2,400, right? Now I'm sure Nintendo probably takes a cut, but this sort of plague has been going on the eShop for many months now. Again, this was posted back in February of this year, and recently it was reported by IGN that Nintendo is rolling out new eShop publishing guidelines for Switch 2 in Asia, seemingly to curb spam games. It looks like Nintendo quietly cracked down on eSlop for the Switch 2 launch. And so you're probably thinking like, oh, okay, well, problem solved, right? No, this is just the beginning, because other platforms are having a similar problem. We'll talk about that in just a second and what the implications are for that, for just gaming in as a whole, as an industry. It's kind of looking bleak, if I'm being honest with you, but let's take a look at what's Nintendo doing here. Okay, I remember for the launch it was a big deal. I know a lot of people got their hands on the Switch 2. They popped open the shop and you sort by recently added, and it was like anime games and basically like that steampunk game that was 69% off. It's almost done downloading actually, but anyway, before you leave a comment, I didn't actually buy the game, okay? It's just a joke. I'm not going to support this trash. Anyway, according to IGN, earlier this year they reported on a growing epidemic of slop games flooding the recommendation pages of multiple gaming storefronts, most prevalently on the PlayStation Store and Nintendo eShop. Many of these games shared a number of commonalities: obscure publishing companies with little available public information, very little game content, low quality assets, numerous bugs, inaccurate store page descriptions, and often AI generated storefront art that wasn't representative of the game itself. A number of them also centered around adult content, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, yes, the steampunk edition that's 69% off. I bet I know what kind of demographic they're going after. Okay, and this is bad, right? I mean, this is bad. Clearly there's some false advertising going on here, and honestly, for games, especially for Nintendo platforms that are typically like owned and played by kids a lot of the times. You know, I'm a 30-year-old kid, right? But like actual children played these consoles, and so you don't want them to pop open the e-store and see adult content, right? Like obviously it wasn't anything like actually not safe for work, but like you still don't want them seeing suggestive things, right? Like obviously. So this was a problem. Okay, since then IGN has once again spoke to multiple developers with access to the Nintendo Switch eShop developer and publishing portal, who have shown us a new set of guidelines for publishing games on the Nintendo Switch 2 eShop specific to the platform storefronts in Japan and other regions of Asia. Critically, these rules seem to include attempts at curbing the flow of slop, reducing the amount of adult content recommended on front pages, and making the Switch 2 eShop storefront at least more user friendly. Okay, so what are the changes here? The guidelines, which took effect on June 5th, which is the day the Switch 2 launched, cover a wide range of topics including how game bundles can be sold, restrictions on sensitive content, prohibitions on inaccurate product descriptions, and when and how product information can be updated. First, there's a restriction on bundles, right? And apparently now you can only have a maximum of 5 game bundles being distributed. This is a direct response to some concerns of other companies creating bundle spam and offering deep discounts on new bundle after new bundle to keep their game at the top of the eShop listings. Sounds like an obvious problem that needs an obvious solution. Okay, many of the new guidelines discuss sensitive content and include specific rules for what qualifies as sensitive content in the first place. Another new guideline includes a prohibition against inaccurate descriptions of games. It reads in full: it is prohibited to provide descriptions of the content of a product as under development if it is not expected to be implemented in the product. So basically these slop AI trash games were saying like, oh, coming soon we're gonna have, you know, an open world, and there's gonna be a pet system, and there's gonna be this, that, and the other thing, and it's never gonna come, right? It's just empty promises to get you to download the game and say, wow, the game's got a bright future, I'll spend $3 on it now and maybe it'll be worth, you know, more later down the line. And that's not true. It ain't happening. But here's where things start to get interesting, right? As we were working on the story, an article came into our attention that seemed to be evidence of at least one of the new policies being enforced. Last month, Automaton reported that a game series called, I'm not even going to pronounce it, H Girls, a game about compiling jigsaw puzzles of anime women in various states of dress and undress. Per the reports, the game, which has historically been criticized for having some of the hallmarks of the slop games previously discussed, would be renamed to Kawaii Girls going forward. That's kind of what I thought. I can't even believe, how did that even slip through the cracks? Like that is literally labeled as NSFW. Crazy that that word just wasn't blacklisted out of the gate. How Nintendo, come on, how do you miss that? You probably can't even put that word in the comment section below. But Nintendo cracking down on this is obviously a double-edged sword in a way, right? Because another developer they spoke to expressed a different concern, that stricter regulations might harm legitimate games that deal with more serious or mature themes. Quote, I would say personally, I would be curious to see how Nintendo will handle games that deal with serious topics, or if they will try to lean away from having more mature games that deal with such subjects, even when handled carefully or in positive support of such groups like gender expression, ethnicity, religion, etc. And the article concludes by saying the flood of low effort games in digital marketplaces is definitely a concern to me as an indie developer. One developer said, the space is already wildly competitive and these stores don't always provide great discoverability. The eShop is particularly bad even on Switch 2, though at least it runs much faster now. So it sucks we have to compete for visibility, but that's just Nintendo, right? So they're trying to crack down on this. It's been a problem for months. They're trying to figure out a solution here, because as AI gets more powerful, it gets more and more easy for people to make their own games and upload it, and you really want to distinguish the slop from the real actual quality games, right? But in the article they mentioned the PS5 store, and I actually noticed that this was posted yesterday over on Kotaku. Help, the PS5 store is flooded with AI slop. Italian brain rot memes are taking over the PlayStation store. I don't know what that means, but in just a minute we're going to talk about what's going on with Steam, which is even crazier. So this is a problem. What's with all these sharks? What's going on here? Anyway, they said, I was recently digging through the PlayStation store's upcoming game section when I spotted a clearly AI generated image of a shark in shoes. Strange, I thought to myself, and then I saw another, and then 3 more, and even more. That's when I realized AI slop has fully infested the PSN store. For years now, many people, myself included, have criticized Nintendo over how crappy its digital storefront is on Switch, but Nintendo isn't the only storefront drowning in crap. For example, have you looked around the PlayStation store lately? If not, you might be shocked. If you hop over to the PlayStation store and search for Tralalero Tralala, you'll discover about a dozen games with artwork featuring a shark wearing shoes. Type in Tung Tung and you'll get a bunch of slop featuring the same image of a wooden doll man with a baseball hat. And if you look up Bombardiro, you'll find some AI artwork of an alligator / plane hybrid. These are all online memes referred to by many as Italian brain rot.
Là, porco Dio e porco Allah. Trallallero trallallà. Porco Dio e porco Allah. Trallallero trallallà.
That's the game. You're just trying to avoid the AI art sliding down the screen. That's crazy. It's not just weird memes from TikTok that are being turned into AI slop. Another popular topic for these games is the internet's creepy but now overused backrooms concept, and there are so many games about digging a hole inspired directly by the smash hit Steam game, a game about digging a hole. And I've actually watched Queso play that. It looks really fun. I'll give him that. But the article concludes by saying, I'm honestly baffled as to why Sony is letting this stuff live on the PlayStation Store next to big games like God of War and indie darlings like Blueprints. Makes the store feel less like a curated collection of great games and more like a landfill where anyone can dump their garbage. If something isn't done soon, I wouldn't be surprised if this AI slop becomes a bigger problem, with more and more folks stumbling upon this junk as they shop the PlayStation Store. Do you guys remember the Wii? You remember how much shovelware was on the Wii strictly because the console was cheap? It was one of the best selling consoles of all time. It was in everybody's home, and so there was just so, bro, I used to work at a retro game store, and the Wii section was always filled with shovelware slop garbage. There was actually, if you really think about it, there weren't that many great games for the Wii when you think about how big the actual library was. The library is massive, but when you look at the percentage of games worth owning, it's actually quite small. It's really hilarious. And this is, you know, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes, and this is effectively the exact same thing. So now we've confirmed Nintendo has been so flooded that they're finally responding. The PlayStation Store has now been taken over by AI slop. What's happening with Steam? This was reported over on Games Radar the other day. Steam's slop problem has gotten much worse, as reports say the number of games using generative AI has gone up by almost 800% in the last year alone. Now, this article is actually centered around a report from Ichiro Lambe. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. They are the founder of indie studio the Joban Games, and they found that a few things are only getting worse. Let's take a look at the direct report here. Okay, the new surprising number of Steam games that use Gen AI. Wow, these hands look really cute. I like what you've done with your hands, lady. Very adorable, very cute. How'd you I don't know. Here's the report. A year ago, I poked around Steam to see how many game developers were disclosing usage of generative AI. It was around 1,000 titles, which seemed like a lot to me at the time. If memory serves, that was about 1.1% of the entire Steam library, which has since seen 20,000 more titles appear. I've been following the number since, and a few colleagues have nudged me to do a follow-up. Today, nearly 8,000 games on Steam use generative AI, or more precisely, 7,818 titles on Steam disclose Gen AI usage. That is 7% of the total Steam library. There are now 114,000 titles. We've octupled last year's figure. In fact, a little under 20% of all games released in 2025 have disclosed such use. Source: I use Steam's API for my game discovery platform. We heart every game. That is 1 in 5 games released in 2025 disclosed that they use generative AI. Now, here's the big question, and this is kind of like the point of this entire video that I'm filming here. Okay, what are the actual uses for AI in gaming that are acceptable versus what usage for AI in gaming is unacceptable? Now, you might be sitting there and saying, Omni, all AI content is slop, it's garbage, it's trash, right? And that is simply not true, right? You've probably played games that you like that use AI and you don't even know it, right? There are YouTube videos with AI generated thumbnails and you didn't even know that the thumbnail had AI generated content in it, right? We are in the middle of 2025 and AI content is actually really high quality in the right person's hands for the right things. But there is a line, and a lot of what we've seen in this video already crosses that line, obviously, right? Obviously, some of these games are just complete garbage, and they definitely are AI slop that deserve to be thrown in the trash, right? But what are actual game devs using AI for in their real high quality production titles? Number one, visual asset generation. This is in about 60% of disclosures: characters, backgrounds, 2D 3D models, textures, you name it. And this is something that was actually disclosed even by Call of Duty Black Ops 6. They disclosed that they used some amount of AI to produce the game. So again, if you're going to sit there and say all AI generation in any game is garbage, well, did you play Black Ops 6? If you liked it even a little bit, then okay, maybe there's a use for some of it. Like, maybe let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like, clearly it's still possible to create a good game with some amount of AI use, whether it's 1% or 10% or 15%, I don't know. But let's move on to the second thing: audio generation. Background music, yes, but also full-on voiceovers, narration, and character voices using text-to-speech tools like 11 Labs. Do you guys play classic World of Warcraft? Do you guys know about the voiceover add-on that literally just gives a voice to all of the NPCs that you talk to? It's actually incredible. When I played it last, it sounds fantastic. It makes the game more immersive. It feels right. It feels like this is how it should have always been. And of course it wouldn't have been possible back in 2004 whenever the game came out, but now that we have the tech, why not, right? It even has different accents. Everyone sounds a little bit different. Like, it's really good. And that's just an add-on that just people made because they could and it was easy. And well, I don't know if it was easy, but it's fantastic is what I'm trying to say. And so I could easily see it being the case that in the future, like, there's going to be games that use AI voices. You're not even going to know it. It's going to sound great, and that's open and shut case. Number 3, text and narrative generation. Devs are using large language models for everything from item descriptions and lore to brainstorming story arcs. Makes sense, right? If you just plug into ChatGPT, hey, give me an accurate, fantasy style description for an elven longsword, right? And then you get a nice little paragraph of a flavor text, something interesting to read when you collect this random loot in the game, right? I think that's relatively harmless. Number 4, we have marketing and promotional materials, short game descriptions of the about this game section, and banners, which overlap number 1 a bit. Okay. And code and game logic, a ton of code generation assistance going on here with artificial intelligence. And if you guys missed it, I recently made a video talking about why Xbox and Microsoft are laying off thousands of more people, and it's because they're replacing everyone with AI, right? Like, I'm not even, it's happening. And there's even dev studios that are, I think it was at King, if I'm not mistaken, where they actually fired people that helped build AI to literally just replace their jobs, right? Like, these people over the last, however many months were building an AI tool, and then their boss was like, okay, great, thank you guys so much for the tool, you're fired, we're going to use that AI tool instead. Scummy, right? It's scummy, let's be real. But like, this is the whole point of my video, right? This is the whole, we're finally at the root of the topic here, and that is that, is it even possible to go back, right? Is it even is Pandora's box, have we opened it? It's over. Like, we are already so reliant on AI. Like, the explosion in usage of ChatGPT, we have Grok, we have DeepSeek, there's just so many large language models and so many different tools and software and everything that people use, and it's good. It improves workflow. Like, you can do things faster, you can get more high quality products and content in a smaller amount of time, right? Like, it is actually fantastic. So nobody is going to willingly go back, right? There might be some indie games that like absolutely refuse to use it, to each their own, and more power to them, right? Like, I wish them as much success as possible, right? Obviously I'm not rooting for AI here, but my point is that it's so efficient, it is so cost effective, the output in some cases is really high quality, or at the very least it's like the 80-20 principle, right? It does 80% of the work in 20% of the time. And so if you can get images like these that, obviously they're not great, but you have most of the content there, now all you have to Photoshop is the hand instead of making the entire piece of art all from scratch, right? Like, I mean, come on, it's kind of a no-brainer from a cost analysis here, right? And so my point is that even if we all band together and say that we hate AI, the truth is that, like, you and I are consuming content and games and media and everything that is made with AI, and a lot of it you don't even know, and a lot of it is good quality. It is, I'm sorry, like, it is. Now, the bad quality stuff sticks out like a sore thumb, and so it's easy to make fun of it, right? Like, obviously these pictures are trash, right? But to quote one more time, nearly 8,000 games on Steam use Gen AI. It is up like 800%, and 1 in 5 games released in 2025 say they use generative AI and on Steam. Okay, so where do we go from here? Can Nintendo even possibly combat this as much as they want? Can PlayStation combat this even if they wanted to? It seems like they're not even trying, but if they wanted to, could they? Like, where do you draw the line? When you start to have games like Black Ops 6 using generative AI, it's like, okay, well, you can't just ban AI games, or you can't ban games that used AI. That's too much of a blanket approach, because all games basically use some amount of AI these days. So I think the answer is they're just going to have to program their own AI to evaluate each of these titles as it's uploaded to their publisher backend or whatever the case might be, and just use that tool to kind of scan the game files and see, like, okay, what actually is this? Is the artwork from the game like actual artwork, or was it just a chat GPT like spit out or something? That's the only way that they're going to be able to keep up with it, because they can't hire a team of people to like review every single game, because as AI gets more efficient, cheaper, and faster, the number of the games is going to get pumped out faster and faster and faster, right? Like, if 1 in 5 games on Steam this year had Gen AI use. Next year it's going to be 1 in 3, right? Like that's just how these things evolve. Look at the jump in graphical fidelity from the PS2 to the PS3 to the PS4, right? Like it's a big jump. Look at the jump from Super Nintendo to N64 to GameCube, bro. Freaking insane, right? Freaking insane jump. And AI is the same way. Those massive leaps, it's going to keep happening unless we have some global supply chain breakdown, which is totally possible in the world that we live in. But anyway, that's a topic for another video. Anyway, guys, I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. Have you seen this AI slop, and do you think Nintendo and PlayStation and Steam could even solve this problem? Let me know in the comment section below, and while you're down there, drop a thumbs up on the video. It really helps out this channel a ton. It's a tiny channel, but it's been growing pretty well, and I really do appreciate all the support lately on these videos. So drop a thumbs up while you're down there, and consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell to be notified the next time I upload gaming news. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.